Then when you've got Angel screaming, Angel does it again. And
that was something, right?
That was something.
I'm sorry, you canceled the support for the game a month ago.
Why would they even host a trade?
I don't know.
And I sit down and he picks up one donut and eats it. So you want to QA games?
When the rubber meets the road, they're gonna be like, oh my god, I don't like seeing Mario get his skull smashed.
Oh, I would love
It
to
doesn't
see that.
work.
I would love to see
Yeah,
that.
again, like I said.
Hello and welcome to BattlefieldOne Podcast, the best Battlefield podcast on the planet. My name is Tom, also known as the Lanky Soldier, and today we're gonna talk about single player, and only single player. Oh boy, I have a lot of things to say, not very good things, even if I'll try to be positive as much as possible, but it will be really hard. Anyway, this is a pre-recorded episode from last week, actually a bit more than that, because I'm on holiday. Ray is not able to record with me right now because it's Friday early morning, and I only have like 3 days to sort all future episodes while I'm gonna be on holiday. So, and you guys deserve an episode every week from us. So for the last 3 months, we've been very consistent with our episode releases. Every Sunday for our Patreon supporters, every Tuesday for the public, 1 p.m. UK time, 8 a.m. Eastern. So I want to continue that way because it works for us and it's amazing for you all. Our listeners, they've been giving us good positive feedback, so I'm proud of our work, so I want to continue with that. That being said, welcome to BattlefieldOne Podcast. If you're new here, I usually have a co-host, but today I'm gonna do like a solo episode, like I said, and I'm gonna talk about the single player, and let's see how long I will be able to hold myself together, because as a lore guy, as a guy that loves lore, all that kind of stuff, I get very passionate about that kind of stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But before we continue, please do check out our socials, in the description after you're done with the show. They're all linked in the description. Don't forget to leave a rating or a like if you really actually enjoy the show, because it does help other people to find the show. And I think I mentioned before that our problem with the marketing for this podcast is that people don't know that we exist. So if you can spread the word about us, that would be amazing. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know more about the show, learn more about us, go to our dedicated website, BattlefieldOne.net, where you can learn more about us, support us financially, help us out. Or alternatively, please go to patreon.com/TheLankySoldier, where you can get exclusive Patreon content and episodes, including our early access to future episodes. Every little helps, and we appreciate every single audience member that is supporting our small Battlefield adventure. It helps us a lot, and thank you so much. Thank you for all your support, all that kind of stuff. So, patreon.com/TheLankySoldier if you want to support us. Anyway, so I'm gonna stop rambling, and I'm just gonna straight up talk about Battlefield. Let's see how it goes. Okay, let's start with this simple thing. Some context. If you're not new here, you probably don't want to hear me say the same thing over and over again, because you've been hearing the same context all the time when I talk about the single player. But if you're new here, you probably haven't heard it, and I don't think you want to go through all 50 episodes to find that context. So I'm just gonna try to give some context here right now so we understand what we're talking about when it comes to this single player. So let's start this history, how the single player was supposed to happen, or the development of the single player. So Ridgeline Games was announced. It's a studio announced by EA back in September 2022, and they announced Ridgeline Games, a brand new studio. They're gonna be making the new single player for Battlefield game, so for Battlefield 6. Back then we didn't know what the name was of the Battlefield game, we didn't know it was called Battlefield 6, but for this game, right? The studio was founded to make a single player game for this game, or single player portion of the game. Marcus Leto, one of the founders of the studio, the creator of Master Chief, is tasked with creating a Battlefield universe, a Battlefield cinematic universe, or whatever you want to call it, MCU of Battlefield, whatever. You get the idea. Establish the story and the lore, as they work on the next Battlefield single player that is scheduled for the next game. Between now and 2024, he was a very vocal guy. He was always interested in what the Battlefield community has on their mind. He always interacted with the Battlefield community. He was literally going on Twitter, or X, whatever, go on Twitter, go on wherever, we're just gathering feedback. Like, hey, what do you think about Battlefield? Do you think this, when it comes to story, do you think the Battlefield works better with when there's like characters or like nameless soldiers? You know, he was asking about the lore. He's asking about, you know, important questions about storytelling, about gameplay mechanics, all that kind of stuff, right? He was in tune with the Battlefield community. He was asking important questions and how they feel, you know, checking what's the temperature with this, you know, with the Battlefield community regarding the single player, or just anything story related, right? Or lore related. And he was really into it, so he was asking questions and he was getting answers from the Battlefield community. And me and Ray, I think it was episode 6 maybe, we talked about storytelling for Battlefield games. You know, the early days of this rebooted show or this podcast. Yeah, I think it was episode 6. And we were extremely excited for the Battlefield single player, just because Marcus Leto, the founder of the studio, was really into, you know, talking to the Battlefield community and asking questions about, like, hey, what works best for the Battlefield game? You know, what you like to see, all that kind of stuff, right? And we were so excited because we were thinking, wow, they actually getting their shit together when it comes to storytelling and lore and all that kind of stuff. Because I know Battlefield community doesn't really care about lore or anything like that. I get that, understand that. But when it comes to Battlefield games, like, at the end of the day, you still want to know what your factions are fighting for. You know, oh, we have NATO and Pax Armata in the game. But yeah, but why is NATO and Pax Armata fighting in the first place, right? You want to know that reason. You want to know why these factions fight in the first place. Because, and I think I mentioned it before, like, the reason you want to know the lore is because, like, what's the point of having pretty graphics in the game and all that kind of stuff if you don't have the context to the fight you're fighting? Yeah, it's a video game after all. Don't they? You just want to finish top of the scoreboard and do well and whatever. I get that. But I don't think people understand that they maybe don't subconsciously, like, think about it, but, like, when it comes to, like, expanding the lore in a multiplayer game like Battlefield, it helps the game a lot. It does. It establishes the context. It establishes what each faction is fighting for, all that kind of stuff. Even if it's just a multiplayer game, right? If it's just a Battlefield Conquest match, it doesn't matter. It gives some context, and you're just like, okay, I really want to fight for the NATO. Oh, I want to fight for Pax Armata, whatever the case may be, right? And it's not just because, like, they have the cool skins or whatever. You just want to know why the factions are fighting for. Otherwise, what's the point of having, like, pretty graphics, all that kind of stuff, you know, lore accurate skins or whatever the case may be, right? Like, that belong in the universe. Well, what's the point of that, right? What's the point? Like, might as well have, like, stickmen fighting each other and call it a day. So that's that. So lore does help a lot to elevate the game, you know. So he and me and Ray, of course, we were really excited. Like, oh, finally, we're gonna get something really cool when it comes to, you know, storytelling for Battlefield. Because I remember 10 years ago, I wrote a document to DICE privately, telling them, hey, can you guys sort your lore at this point? Because you have all these tools, you have these games and everything. Can we, like, establish some sort of timeline and story and everything? And I'm so sorry if you hear something in the background because it's just my cat playing with this toy. So can you establish, like, a lore and everything? Because you have all these tools, all this, you know, technology, like, back then it was Balog, all that kind of stuff. Like, can you, like, establish something, right? Because I think it will matter in the long run. Funny enough, after I wrote that document 5 years later or something like that, Call of Duty Warzone comes out, and it's basically like, yeah, became like that connecting tissue, connecting all the games. Of course, they kind of lost the plot with the second and third game, but it was a thing. I mean, the problem with Warzone back then, it was that they had no plan, so that was a problem. But if they had a plan, that would be a completely different story. Then, of course, you look at Fortnite. Fortnite came out like 2 years before Warzone came out. And they kind of, like, started having, like, a story moments and everything. And they still do, not perfectly, but people still follow what's happening in Fortnite in terms of story and everything. There's something there. But, yeah, so everything we've been saying back then was basically, yeah, you should have a story. You should have some sort of lore. And that was, like, years. I wrote that document to them years before those games came out. And I remember DICE developer like, oh, can you send me the whole thing because we need for a presentation, all that kind of stuff. So, like, okay. That never happened, of course. Battlefield 1 happened, Battlefield 5 happened, 2042 happened, unfortunately. So you can't really, yeah. So we were excited, like, okay, finally, you have a dedicated studio providing the story and the lore and everything. So like, okay, let's do it, finally. We're a bit late, but let's do it. I'm like, okay. And of course, I was thinking it's going to be a reboot and everything, because all the signs pointing that this game is going to be a reboot, right? All the signs were pointing that it's going to be a reboot. So me and Ray were really excited, like, okay, finally, we have something, we're going to have something established. So the positivity was around when it comes to Ridgelight Games being that dedicated studio for making a single player portion of the game. Cool. 2 years later, Marcus Leto quietly announced, I think it was on his LinkedIn or something like that he is leaving EA. And then on Twitter, he shows a corporate middle finger to EA as they close Ridgeline Games, without showing what they made, right? There was nothing. They showed nothing. The only thing they showed was their website, and the website is basically saying like, oh, we committed to make exciting stories for the Battlefield universe, all that kind of stuff, right? That's the only thing we got from Ridgelight Games. It's their website. Their website's not up anymore, but it was up for like a minimum a year after the closure, so that's funny. So anyway, so that's 2024. 2024 February, I think. Ridgeline Games is closed down. Marcus Leto leaves EA, basically shows a nice little corporate middle finger to EA saying, I got nothing nice to say about EA right now, but I want to focus on the people that lost their jobs. Like, okay, fair. Now, of course, when that news was announced, I, of course, went on the podcast, I think episode 13, I talked about this, and I said, back then, yeah, single player is cooked. That's it. Like, you wasted millions, and for what? You wasted millions to establish a studio, get developers and everything, and start working on the single player and produce something good. You know, something nice and interesting for the Battlefield story or single player, whatever you want to say, right? 2 years wasted, millions wasted. And I said the single player is cooked. The next Battlefield single player is actually cooked because there's no time to make anything good. And I know some developers moved to Ripple Effect and they're making the Battle Royale for Battlefield 6. But that was already known back then, so it's like whatever, like extra help to make PR or something like that. Or maybe, I don't. Thing is, the studio got closed down, right? It got closed down. Moving on. So the single player development for the next game was moved from Ridgeline to Criterion. I don't know why my cat decided to play with his toy now. He was quiet the whole night, and now suddenly, as soon as I'm recording, he wants to play. Anyway, so the development of the game, the development of the single player went from Ridgeline to Criterion, and the Criterion they made, Need for Speed games, and they've been supporting DICE, Battlefield Studios, whatever. They've been supporting DICE for many years when it comes to Battlefield games. I think they made some DLC. I think they worked on Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, 2042, unfortunately. But they worked. They know Frostbite engine. They know how they're not new guys when it comes to Battlefield franchise. But that stayed for like 2-3 months. Then it moved to Motive Studios. And that was 2-3 months ago. So after they gave it to Criterion, so it's still 2024. So September 2024, I think we already had established that the development of the single player moved to studios by now, and finally has some sort of production happening. So like, okay, so we basically have a year before the next game is coming out, and only now we have a studio that is willing to work on the Battlefield single player. Yeah, signs are not there. Okay, 8 months later after that, we get an interview. I forgot the main website where the article came from. But anything, we get an article, right, from a media establishment. And it was an interview with 2 creative directors at Motive, saying that this game is inspired by a movie called Civil War and a show called Lioness. Now, back then, on Battlefield One podcast, I said that we're even more cooked. This single player is even more cooked because all this media that they mentioned came out in the same year. a year before Battlefield 6 supposed to come out. I'm like, okay, so everything you did, everything the Ridgeline Games did back then is basically scrapped. Nothing's being reused, whatever, no story beats, nothing. Fresh new story in a year. I'm like, okay, sure. But this quote got to me, like from the article. That quote really got to me when it comes to the single player. Like, because one of the directors said, they want to make a single player about ordinary people in extreme situations. So the full quote is this. The elements we're really interested is in the concept of talented but ordinary people put in extraordinary situations. Campos Arriola said, that's the creative director for Motive. That creates a very interesting dynamic in terms of relationships with other people. These are the elements we're looking for to capture in the next single player. Alright, remember this quote. Ordinary people in extraordinary situations, right? Remember this quote for the rest of the episode, for this podcast episode. Remember this, okay? Right, moving on. There was an article that came out, Ars Technica? Yeah, Ars Technica. Article came out and said, development of the game is going really badly. Single player is cooked. And apparently the reason why Ridgeline Games got closed down in the first place is because they were not meeting their internal development goals. And apparently. So, of course, reading this article thinking, so Ridgeline Games was the problem, right? They opened the studio, and they were basically not making anything, and nothing was being achieved. It was just basically a drain for money to, just draining money, all that kind of stuff, and so on. Sure, on a surface level, that's how it sounds like. But when you go a bit deeper, you learn that, hey, the reason they were not meeting those goals is because EA was expecting them to move at the same pace as other established studios like Motive or DICE, right, or Criterion. They were expecting Ridgeline Games, a brand new studio that just got established. They were expecting them to move at the same pace as other established studios. Which even I know that in software development or any creative development or anything like that, right? Even I know that that's a bit unfair to the new people, right? To the new team and everything. Okay, you need to come to this. You have to come work here, and you instantly have to make amazing work. You have to make these goals as the other established people that have been working on this franchise for so many years. You have to do the same thing as them. I'm like, that's kind of unfair, Even I know, it's not. And we're talking okay, it's been less than 2 years, by the way. So the studio got opened or announced 2022 September, and barely, not even 2 years fully, the studio got closed down, right? Okay. So it's better to waste millions on this. And anyway, but long story short, EA just, at this point, I don't think we're reasonable with this. I don't think so. So, yeah, even if they were not meeting their internal goals, you set those internal goals, right? You set those internal goals for Ridgeline to achieve. And of course they can't achieve that because they're still getting the shit together in the first place, right? They're still trying to establish, okay, what the fuck we doing here in the first place, right? And you expect them to produce the same quality work as DICE or Motive or anything like that? It's unfair. So anyway, moving on. Battlefield 6 single player reveal happens and has loads of single player multiplayer cinematics in it, but the single player is what caught my eye the most from that reveal, from the Battlefield 6 reveal. I think I said it before, I think I said in one of the earlier episodes, that I love the characters in in the Battlefield 6 reveal, the characters that feature in the single player trailer, the reveal trailer of Battlefield 6. Those characters show a lot of emotion. Loads of emotion. Characters are angry, they're sad, they're pissed, confused, whatever. This trailer got me wow, I actually feel something. I actually feel the emotion in this trailer. And this fooled me for a moment. Oh, maybe single player is not cooked after all. I think they're doing this might be good. Well, good as in decent, that I would not hate it. you know. And yeah, this trailer, the reveal really got to me because I can yeah, explosions and everything, like whatever. It's a more we had Battlefield Labs for like going for like 6 months at this point. I don't really care about how the game looks. I already know how the game looks. At this point I just cared what do you have for me as in marketing wise, like what do you have show me regarding the single player. What do you have? I'm sorry if you hear the notification on Discord. I don't really care about how the game looks and everything. Show me what's more than beneath the surface. Like show me something more, right? And when I saw those characters, actually the way they act, they have emotion and everything, it was like, okay, all right. I think you guys are onto something. This is probably the most emotion characters showed in any Battlefield single player, even Bad Company 2. You know, Bad Company 2 was just like fucking comedy, right? But Battlefield 6, like, you actually, these characters actually have emotions. All right, okay, I'm into this. All right, 2 months later, nothing. We heard nothing about the single player. And a week, something before the release, they finally showed a single player reveal trailer. And there it is. There it is. We're back to reality. And I think I mentioned in the 2-3 episodes ago, this trailer was basically made by the Lanky Soldier himself. It was made by me. And what I mean by that is not in a bad way. I mean that this trailer was made with limited tools. The media team at EA, whoever was making this trailer, they had nothing to work with for this trailer. Nothing. There's barely any cinematics. There's barely anything that has been shown. There's like nothing. Nothing is being shown about the single player. Loads of gameplay moments. That's fine. But when you like the only gameplay moments and everything is just basically you running somewhere and there's explosions happening and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, so you have nothing regarding story. You have nothing. This trailer was like a wake-up call, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, single player is not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good. And of course, coming back to the current times, right? 2025, we're not in September, we're in October. October 2025. I have the displeasure to play the single player. Fine, I forced myself to play the single player in the first week when the game came out, alright? I forced myself, like, not at first. Took me like it took me like 4 hours, maybe 4.5 hours to finish. 4.5 hours to finish the single player. And of course, I'm gonna talk spoilers, all that kind of stuff. So it's not good. The single player is not good. I think it's literally was a waste of time. I honestly, I would kind of be okay with if this single player never existed. Unironically, you know what? I rather have no single player and imagine the lore in my head, put like something like that, like I put some lore into my head, like imagine what's the lore here, other than this. And now as I play in the single player, I'm like, wow, I hate this even more now. And the thing is, this game is not a reboot. This is a sequel reboot. It's a prequel, sequel, whatever, right? So that means Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, 2142, Battlefield 1, all these games, right? All these games are in the same universe. So this game is taking place in 2028. And basically, in 10-ish years, Battlefield 2042 happens. So this is all part of the lore, right? You know, this is part of the lore. So, and if you really were interested in Battlefield 2042 lore, please don't, because it's stupid. It gets very ridiculous. I'm sorry, Oro. I know you want pets right now, and you're tapping my chest for touchies and lay down, but not now. I'm recording. Okay, thank you. Give me half an hour, Oro. So anyway, my cat is very needy. So, what I was saying? Oh yeah, so just think about it. Like, it's so bad. It's actually so fucking bad. And so, spoilers, right? Let's talk about some spoilers. Look, anyway, so the single player has 9 missions. 9 missions. Okay, like, okay, cool. 4-hour, 5-hour adventure. Right, okay. So there's 9 missions. The first mission is basically you playing as some character. I think his name is Murphy, and it's taking place in Georgia, and you basically like, oh, okay, Pax Armata wants, like, Georgia wants to give their defense control, whatever, defense contract to, or something, I don't know how to, like, basically give control back, give it to Pax Armata. It's like, and NATO is stationed in Georgia, like the country, right? It's like, okay, right, sure, NATO's gonna leave, like, they're packing their shit, they're packing their shit, they're leaving, okay, cool. And then you get attacked by Pax Armata. And then you learn in that mission that, the European nations sold jets to Pax Armata. Like, okay, sure. And of course, the NATO, all the European nations left NATO because the NATO secretary got murdered. So and it's because it's taking place in the same universe as Battlefield 3 and 4 and all the other games. I guess it's just part of the, like, one of the, like, puzzle pieces, like why European nations lost, for example, why they lost trust in United States and NATO, because Paris got nuked. There's some other stuff that happened. It's like in Europe. So like I guess yeah, we don't trust NATO. We want to take, defense back to we want to protect ourselves because we can't rely on US. US just basically let us get nuked in Paris. Loads of people lost their lives and everything. It's like, yeah, I get that. So it's part of the, like, universe building and everything. So anyway, so in the first mission you get attacked, or like whatever, like Pax Armata attacked you. Like, I don't understand why. Okay, it gets explained later. But you get attacked, and like, I was already confused. Why is Pax Armata attacking us? Why they want war with NATO? Okay, cool. Anyway, then Mission 2, Mission 3, Mission 4 is basically you trying to reclaim Gibraltar. You're fighting Pax Armata. You're trying to retake Gibraltar. So like, okay, so we're having a full-on war, literally full-on war with Pax Armata. Pax Armata funded by European nations to provide defense for the continent, but for some reason, Pax Armata attacked United States or NATO. And it's still not explained why Pax Armata wants beef with United States or NATO, and why the British are still part of NATO, because when Paris got nuked, you would imagine like British would be like not be okay with NATO, like all that kind of stuff. Like, anyway, it's still, like, when you think about this too deeply, all of the lore just falls apart, because then you just think about, like, if you want to real life examples, NATO, okay, forget NATO, right? Like, European nations have their own defensive pacts that has nothing to do with NATO, right? But they all have their defensive pacts. So, like, you don't really need Pax Armata in the first place. But also, what I don't get is, like, Pax Armata, right? I'm going to talk about them in a moment after I'm going to go through these missions. Pax Armata existing, it's not a country, it's not a organization, it's just a private military corporation, and it's basically the same, and it's the same size as all NATO nations together, and they can fight each other on equal terms. What the fuck? That's already stupid, but okay, moving on. Anyway, so you fight in Gibraltar, you take Gibraltar back, all that kind of stuff. Then fourth mission, you're in Egypt. You have to get some intel from some guy that runs a shipping company, and get information from him and all that kind of stuff. And you're going through Egypt streets and everything. Cool. Well, then there's mission 5, no sleep. Pax Armata are in US already established. They have like having a small skirmish, whatever, a siege type of moment. They like somehow managed to get into United States, New York, and they basically defending themselves, like a small cell of Pax Armata defending themselves. And they have their tanks, they have their vehicles, they have their soldiers and everything. It's basically a war in New York. Like, okay, cool. Then it's explained how is it even possible, how they managed to go through all their defenses and everything and establish themselves like defensive positions in New York. Like, of course, it's explained in one of the missions, like, oh yeah, they use the shipping container, shipping lanes, shipping company from the guy that you had to save or escort, whatever, from the Egypt night raid, whatever. And that guy was working for both sides because he doesn't care. He's a tech guru. He just wants to make money. So he was working for both sides. Okay. Then at one point, the next mission after that, like you clear some cells or Pax Armata cells from New York. You're trying to save the president. So you go save the president that is somewhere trapped, whatever. I don't know what to call it. He was like hiding with his security team in a fire station in New York, like just a random fire station. And you just have to escort the president to safety. That was basically the whole mission. That's like mission number 6. Then, of course, at the end of the mission, when you save the president, you have to... The president tells on TV, like, oh yeah, fuck Pax Armata, we having a war with Pax Armata, I will fuck them up. I'm like, okay, cool. The next mission, for some reason, you're controlling a tank in Egypt, which is mission 7, and you're playing as the character that was your informant? Assistant? I don't know what it is. Like, whatever, right? He was someone driving you in the 4th mission when you were trying to steal intel from Egypt, from that guy in Egypt. So he was driving you around Egypt, and he was responsible for you to get extraction from that mission. So he was just that guy, right? And then you are playing as him, and you're driving the tank and fighting Pax Armata in Egypt. So I guess as soon as the president said, like, yeah, we're gonna fuck Pax Armata, and I guess they want to show, like, hey, the whole world is fighting back against Pax Armata because Pax Armata has established themselves in Egypt. Like, okay, cool. That was a very short mission. I learned nothing from that mission. And other than typical, stereotypical, even low-key racist Muslim fights, I don't know, like, oh no, my brother got shot down in a helicopter, as in brother, as in like comrade or whatever. We're coming, my brother. We're gonna show them Pax Armata douchebags that Egypt belongs to us. Okay, it was really. I don't think it was good. It was not good. I was like, I did not like it. I'm like, okay, whatever. All right, mission 8. We're back with the normal characters from the previous single player, previous missions, like the main characters, right? We're back on the. Oh, also forgot, one of the main characters dies after saving the president, what's his name? Carter. Carter gets killed by the main bad guy of the single player, who just happens to be a pawn. We'll talk about that. He happens to be a pawn in this whole story. He's just a leader of Pax Armata, but he's not the founder of Pax Armata. He's just here for the money, whatever. Like, anyway, and apparently the main character, of course, has history with this main bad guy because they worked together. They were together in a unit somewhere that was taking place in Battlefield 3. So they kind of know each other, and the main bad guy kills the Carter guy, and it was so uneventful and so boring, whatever. So at mission 8, I think, yeah, mission 8. So one mission before the end of the single player, you get this new guy called Hemlock, and it's the very secretive ghost wannabe character of. You know, he has a mask and a helmet, and they're like he's very tough, very scary. You know, he's a badass. You know, he's a ghost character. You know, he's from Modern Warfare. You know, the series. He's the ghost character. So he joins you instead of Carter. I'm like, okay, cool. Operation Ember Strike. So that's the 8th mission. Basically, destroy some SAM sites, destroy a dam. If you destroy the dam, you destroy the SAM sites, and we can move on to some location and attack something. Like, okay. Last mission, which is probably the most cinematic one, because, hey, it's a raid. We're attacking this airport that has missiles, has some ballistic missiles, has some weaponry there and everything. Like, it's basically, we attacking this airport in the last mission, trying to find this bad guy, and it's a full-out war. Probably the most cinematic mission from all the single player, right? Like, jets flying above your head, then tanks and multiple soldiers, like, from both sides. Like, it's a full-out war, right? Like, just all gloves are off, just fucking go there to fuck each other up, right? We're attacking this airport, wherever, like a plane trying to get, fly away, and the friendlies shoot down that plane as it takes off, like, from the airport. Like, there's fighting, but the plane takes off, and the jet shoots down the plane and just crashes somewhere. Then there's a jet fight and everything, and you have to shoot down the jet, then you drive a tank and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, one of your, I think platoon or something like that, just they sacrifice themselves to make sure that the missiles that don't get launched. So you're basically trying to prevent a missile launch from from that airport. So, and it is about to strike European nations and US. So I'm like, wait a minute. So you want to tell me, Pax Armata, funded by European nations, Pax Armata is about to attack the nations that fund them? Okay. And what's so special about these missiles is that, it's the battle royale gas and everything. So it's like, anyway, I mentioned that. Anyway, so the platoon sacrifices themselves to make sure that the missiles don't get launched. Okay, sure. So everyone dies. All right. Your squad, the last squad, right? You manage to get in the bunker as that explosion happens, and you're about to go engage the main bad guy. And before that, you have this speech, like, we're in this together. Kincaid, or whatever his name is, the main bad guy, he will pay for everything he did to us and everything. We're in this together, we're a squad, and so on. I'm like, that speech was so fucking forced and no source. It's just emotionless, like forced and everything. I'm like, okay, why are we having this? And then through the mission, as you go, through the bunker until the main guy is basically, the one of the characters like, we're in this together. Pax Armata doesn't decide how we end this. We decide, like, oh, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Anyway, you kill the guy at the end. But then I forgot to tell you, all these missions that you played is basically flashback missions. The whole story is basically the main characters of the single player. They're raiding some official important person. They're raiding their house, and that lady is the black chick, and she's basically like important someone. I don't fucking know what's her title, right? And basically the whole story is basically around flashbacks. Like every time, like the whole cinematic, like the whole single play is just you talking to her in her house, as she's trying to escape the country. Because Pax Armata, the reason Pax Armata invaded or tried to invade United States in the first place is because they're trying to get to her so she can get away. You get the important person that funded this whole whole Pax Armata. So basically the whole story is, I know you're probably confused as I'm telling you all this. The whole story is this, that the whole mission is just flashbacks through that conversation they had in the house. And it was so fucking confusing, so stupid. And the whole story basically is the story is that the whole Pax Armata, the whole war that we're having here, was basically funded by rich people with big pockets, the military complex of United States, CIA, all that kind of stuff. This was organized by them. So as long as they keep getting the money in their war machine. That's the whole fucking story. The whole premise of the fucking story is that, A, we're rich, We need to make money, and because in this, I guess, universe, Russia is in a pickle, because if you play Battlefield 3 and 4, they have their internal problems, and the last thing they want is to fight NATO, US, or whatever. They have their internal problems. Their nuke got stolen, got nuked, activated in Paris, so they don't want to deal with that. Like, they're trying to sort their own problems. Then that was in Battlefield 3. Then Battlefield 4, China has a civil war happening, so that's not the main bad guy for United States and so on. And so you have Europe, peaceful Europe, well, peaceful, and so this all funded. Pax Armata was funded to create the new bad guy for United States. That's the whole premise of the fucking single player. The military complex of United States, including CIA, created Pax Armata to have a bad guy for United States to fight. That's the whole fucking story. That's the premise of the story. I wanna fucking kill myself. Now I'm okay thinking, alright, sure. Was it explained why European nations want to fund Pax Armata? Okay, sure, like, did some problems with, Paris, or like, the geopolitics, right? Like, I get that. You probably don't trust United States, all that kind of stuff, to provide security, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of want to provide your own security, sure. And you're not. European nations are not. They have their own military complex and everything, and so yeah, of course they can. They can do that themselves. But why do you have to go fund Pax Armata, and the same Pax Armata wants to bomb the fucking European nations, the same nations that fund your fucking military stuff? Also, through the whole single player, you've been hearing, since the first mission, Pax Armata, the bad guys, Pax Armata, the douchebags, Pax Armata, evil, anyone that joins Pax Armata are fucking low human beings. Like, it's just, like, anyone that joins Pax Armata, just absolute dickheads, absolute douchebags. Anyone that funds them, fuck them. They're the absolute shitheads, right? Pax Armata is bad. Pax Armata is that. Pax Armata is... God. I'm like, okay, wait a minute for a second. I'm European, right? So I'm European. I could never, like, what? Why would... it's so fucking bad. So the whole... this was my fear, that with the single player, that, like, hey, they're gonna do something stupid, and they're not gonna explain why Pax Armata exists, or why anyone wants to join Pax Armata. Okay, fine, by the CIA and the military complex of the United States. Okay. Why do I want to join Pax Armata? Why do European nations want to join Pax Armata when they have their own militaries just fine, and they have their own defensive, treaties and everything? They don't need Pax Armata. Also, why Pax Armata just wants to beef with everyone, including their own fucking countries that fund them? Why do you want to... What? I don't understand why. So, like, it makes no fucking sense. And of course, if you go to 2042, you kind of need an excuse why European nations just fall apart. Like, that's a fucking dumb excuse. Just, like, that was my fear, that they're gonna do Pax Armata chips, typical bad guys, no motives, whatever. We just wanna fuck the whole world up just because we feel like it. No! Stop! So yeah, when it comes to Pax Armata, if you think you get explanation why Pax Armata are the bad guys, or why they're so, important, or like why people want to join Pax Armata is like some sort of like anti-imperialism against the United States or something like that. Like there's some no, the whole story just makes no Pax Armata bad because fuck America, and America need a new bad guy to fight because China and Russia are busy with their own shit. And that's the whole fucking story. That's the whole fucking story. Doesn't explain why Pax Armata, like, and I was like thinking, oh, that would be so cool if Pax Armata, like, there's some ideas that they might work with this like with this premise. But a private military corporation appears and just like, yeah, we can protect you, and European nations just say, yeah, you can protect us. And then the same Pax Armata wants to destroy the European nations themselves. Like, what? What? And of course, there's probably some details I missed and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't fucking make sense. Also, let's go back on the characters. Like, can we go back on the characters? The characters. So remember that quote I said, ordinary people in extraordinary situations, right? So you basically play as 4 or 5 characters, right? In the single player, right? And they're all part of the same squad. Ordinary people in extraordinary situations. This is basically Task Force 141 from Temu, or Wish, or Alibaba. Pick any fucking cheap establishment where you can buy shit, cheap shit. This is it. This is Task Force 141 from Temu. And these ordinary people, by the way, travel around the world, the whole fucking globe, doing specialized missions, specialized saving the world, from scary Pax Armata missions, including saving the fucking President of the United States of America. So these ordinary people travel around the world doing amazing feats, amazing achievements in military action of destroying the dam, destroying the SAM site, like retaking Gibraltar, saving the United States of America. And that's, I don't know in what time frame. This is, I think, in a whole year. The whole thing takes place in a year. And that's the time frame. So in a year, these ordinary people achieve these kind of feats in a year. Ordinary people in extraordinary situations. The fuck? What? And yet you're traveling around the world just saving the world and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay. Of course, there's some mentions of Battlefield 3 characters, all that kind of stuff. Is the single player buggy? No, not really. I mean, it's not bug free, but it worked fine on my end. It's kind of weird that I have to launch a different exe file to launch the game, but hey, whatever, it doesn't matter. There were some moments where my friendly Bradleys, my friendly characters or whatever, they you know how in multiplayer when you start a conquest match or whatever, and you try to draw away from your own base, and you like hit each other and you go on top of each other, all that kind of stuff, and just like, yeah, you move, no, you move, and all that kind of stuff. You try to like move from each other's way as you go towards the flag. So that's what happened to me on one of the Gibraltar missions. My friendly tanks, my friendly Bradleys, LEVs, whatever, they just hit each other and trying to go over each other, which they managed to do. But I'm like, am I observing a multiplayer, match right now in the single player game? But then again, these are probably the same bots, the same mechanics, the same code they programmed for the multiplayer. So it's probably the same bots, right? The same. So just scripting, right? All right, take this bot that we have and take him to this location, and and that's so probably the same bots they have in multiplayer. So I guess why that happened. So which was funny. But when it comes to visuals and everything, yeah, like the single player has its moments of visual, entertainment. Like if you never played a single player game from any of these AAA shooters, right, like Call of Duty, Battlefield, or I don't know, Delta Force has a single player, but it's a remake, so not really. I mean, sure, maybe you can say it, but anyway, so any single player game, any first person shooter AAA for single player, if you haven't played any of them, this probably will be fine for you. Like, honestly, you'll probably will be fine, because it's like, whatever, it's good enough to play through and be familiar with the mechanics of the game, this is what they went with. So the whole squad idea, like the characters and everything, the idea is that every squad member is a specific class, and if you, for example, die in the single player, you can get revived by one of the squad mates with this AI squad mates, whatever. You can get revived. Oh, one of the missions is escort a tank, and you have to repair the tank, and it's all so it's like a small introduction pieces to the multiplayer section of the game, which is fine. So like if you're like, I don't know, don't take this the wrong way. If you're really bad at video games, or you never play a single player game, or you're just like, I don't know, a teenager or a child, whatever, and you're listening to this, it's probably fine to you. But then again, if you're a child, if you're listening to this, good props to you, or you're smart, it's probably gonna be fine, because it's gonna be like an introduction to you to the mechanics of the game or whatever the case may be, right? Like, you're gonna get familiar. Like, I think it's a popular thing, like, from my age of millennial people, like, oh, when you play a first-person shooter, you want to play the single player first to get familiar with the game, and after that you jump to the multiplayer, and that's where you spend majority of the time. But the single player was basically introduction to you regarding the, the mechanics of the game. That's fine. I think that's fine. Like, on a basic level, this works. But why it doesn't work is the story. The story was all over the place, full of it's just flashback simulator. This story is basically taking place in the whole story can be explained in 20-minute cutscene, maybe 10-minute cutscene, 15-minute cutscene, cutscene, and it's basically the characters are talking to each other and so on, and they just basically give you a flashback of what happened and so on, which confused the shit out of me. I don't know why they went with that. Even if you want to keep this narrative, which you can, you could just went chronologically, honestly. You could have went chronologically. Like, you did not need to do any flashbacks or whatever. You really don't need to do. I don't understand why they went with this decision. Now, of course, I have to remember, they made this in a year. They had no time to do something amazing and so on. But you know what? I kind of disagree. So in a year, they made 9 missions, which are nothing special missions, don't get me wrong. Nothing special. Absolutely nothing special. But you clearly had the budget to make something decent. You clearly had you clearly had enough manpower, enough creativity to make something decent. You could have. You literally could have. But for some reason, I don't know who made these decisions, or whatever. The whole single player is just so bad. It's all over the place, makes no fucking sense. Also, like, for some reason, we have to know that this Hemlock guy, the ghost character or Battlefield or whatever, he's supposed to be someone important, someone really. I don't know what to say. Well, yeah, important, yeah. He takes off his mask in the last cutscene and everything, and I'm like, so we're supposed to know who you are? Because I don't know. You're a Pedro Pascal looking motherfucker. I don't know who the fuck are you. I thought it was like, oh, is it like the character from Battlefield 3, Henry Blackburn or whatever? Like, no, that's not him. That's definitely not him. Even though he maybe sounded like him at one point. But I don't. With that character, he it was very confusing. Anyway, that's not the point. The whole fucking single player makes no sense, is very confusing to follow, full of flashbacks, loads of filler missions with no important information in them, and they had the budget to make something decent. They had the budget, even in a year of this, whatever they were working on here, they had a year to make something, and they made this, which okay on a basic level, but on the story-wise, I don't believe that you could not come up with something bad. Like, this is why, like, I don't know, like, I never worked in a game development studio, right? I never worked in game development, but this is clearly made, decisions were made by certain important people at certain studios, or well, I don't know how this, like, Battlefield Studios, I don't know who's in charge of what anymore. It was certain decisions were made to make it this way, and I do not believe that the team working on this single player could not made something better. I can't believe they could not. I know they could. I know they could make something better because they clearly had enough budget to make something. They made this, but it was so incoherent, so confusing, so with no important lore and everything, like, but the thing is, if I was an executive, like, I guess a producer, whatever, like, I don't know if I'm a producer, like, I guess my job is to make sure that my single player actually gets released. I think that's the number one job, yeah. But at the same time, like, okay, I know I came from a background where pre-production is half of production. If you have a perfect pre-production, Sure, nothing is gonna go according to plan from that pre-production. Of course not. But if you have solid pre-production, and I want to say solid, you know what tools you have, you know your limitations, you know what your time constraints and everything. I know, again, it's like a producer's job and everything, but you have to look a bit deeper when you know what kind of team members you have on your, on your team, on your development team. What's your budget? What are the development constraints? All that kind of stuff, right? If you prepare this early, and you actually put a lot of deal into it, and you have a script that is, you can write a script or whatever, like the whole story, to make sense with the limitations you have. You did not need to go Task Force 141 from Temu, ordinary people in extraordinary situations. Yeah, my ass. You did not need to go to that direction. You did not need to go with special ordinary people going around the globe and saving the president, saving the world, and like that. You don't need to do that. Honestly, the whole single player could just taken place in Gibraltar. You could just whole single player could just take in Gibraltar and just focus on one small part of the story about it. You don't need, give some context why the war between some private military corporation and NATO is happening, even though I hate the idea of Pax Armata in the first place. Like, Pax Armata are cool because they have a cool name and maybe cool gear, but they're just typical bad guys with no motivations, whatever. They're just bad guys. Nothing. They have nothing that can offer you like some sort of entertainment or satisfaction that you playing as Pax Armata in the multiplayer. I was like thinking like, okay, it's funded by European nations. European nations left NATO, so they have their own goals and everything. Imagine a war between European nations, right? Not Pax Armata. European nations, like as one singular European Union, I guess, against the United States, because someone in the background confused or fooled both sides to have a war, right? So this menu, like that sounds more interesting. And the thing is, you clearly can tell they just, well, Pax Armata is bad, you should kill them, like, and so on. They're really bad guys. But like, why? What are the bad guys? They want to destroy you. Okay, cool, but why they want to destroy me? It never explained. It's never really explained. Like, it explains how Pax Armata exists. Sure. But why people want to join Pax Armata? It's not like, what, you just want to assume that everyone joining Pax Armata are just fucking dumbasses? Just bad people by nature? Is that the thing? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Anyone joining them is fucking douchebag and idiot? Everyone are evil in Pax Armata? But NATO is like the good guy? No. Why? And why do you think European nations will be just okay starting another war, especially with the United States, just because they felt like it? They're like, we'll fund this private military corporation, we'll give our herd money, like we'll give them jets, we'll give them tanks, we'll give people and soldiers and everything just to fight the United States? What? You think European nations will be okay with that? You think they will be okay with that? You think Britain still be part of NATO when even they have beef with Spain about Gibraltar? They will not go to fucking war for like just. I just don't understand. And also I forgot to mention the reason that Pax Armata attacked you in the first place because they tried to destroy a server that was in Georgia in the first mission, right? So that's why Pax Armata attacked you. So that was explained like in middle of the single player. Cool. Still doesn't explain why Pax Armata wants beef with the United States or NATO in the first place. So it's just, I'm so disappointed. I am so disappointed that Pax Armata is just typical bad guys. NATO are the typical good guys. And all the geopolitics in this universe, in this Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and like so on, and Battlefield 22, nothing is explained. Everything is just not explained. It happens because we need it to happen, and there's no deeper meaning here. Other than like, see, the bad guys, we need a bad guy the military complex of the United States needed an enemy, so we create Pax Armata. Fuck European nations support that, and then the Pax Armata itself, they lost control of the Pax Armata. Now they want to destroy European nations and USA. What? It's just I am so mad. I'm so mad. So I've been rambling for now. You know what? I'm not gonna talk more because I realize I'm just gonna go over the place and just make no fucking sense in the long. Long story short, this single player was a waste of fucking time. It's a waste of time. I learned nothing about the lore of the game. It only made me mad. It made me question even more. I did not get any answers. I hate that the Pax Armata are just typical bad guys, just basically Nazis, basically. It's like, yeah, we want to kill everyone, cause fuck you. And European nations are okay with that? Okay. Then the characters, of course, just want to mention, before the game came out, they did a blog post about the characters and everything. I instantly said that the guy with the glasses, that, was it Mexican or Spanish? I don't know, Latino guy, Lopez, right? I said, I posted on my Twitter, I literally said, I can assure this guy will be the standout character from the single player. Everyone's gonna love him, and he's gonna be the favorite character from this fucking shit. He's gonna be the favorite character. As I had the displeasure to finish the single player, yes, I was fucking right. Lopez, the character from the single player, that Latino guy with the glasses, yeah, he's my favorite character from the single player, and damn right he is, because he had the most emotion in the fucking game. Like, and he had some, I don't want to say character development, but I'm okay with that. The female sniper Gecko, like whatever, like what she worked better in the cinematic. Just saying. Murphy, don't care. What they're so one-dimensional. That's the thing. They're all one-dimensional characters and so on. The other guy, wannabe Captain Price character, Carter, he's just angry at his former squad mate, whatever, for being the bad guy in that guy, and he gets killed from him by him. And it's bad. It's a waste of time. Nothing was established. Nothing was learned. Oh, of course, the way the single player ends, it ends so abruptly. It's like, so we learn nothing. It's like a cliffhanger, right? You shoot the main lady that was responsible for all of this, and I guess we're gonna have story bits and story explanation, all that kind of stuff in the future, in season, like with Battlefield 6 seasons coming forward and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to. I hope they will never continue. Like, you know what? I hope all the writers, all that kind of stuff, like whoever's forcing this story, like on this game, please stop. I don't want any more story beats. I don't want any lore. I don't want anything from them about this anymore. Please stop. Stop while you can. I don't want a continuation of this story. I don't want it. Please remove this. And I'm so glad that the game is telling me, oh, you can uninstall the single player because you finished it so you can save more space. Damn right I'm uninstalling this piece of shit. Damn right. This single player was an insult to my intelligence because nothing makes sense. Nothing is explained. Pax Armata are just typical bad guys with no meaning whatsoever. It's just, you might as well replace Pax Armata with aliens and it will be the same fucking thing. Same fucking thing. At this point, why are you so fucking scared of having Chinese faction or Russian faction or something in like that? Why are you so afraid of having nations? Oh, because sales and everything. Bro, no one fucking cares if you make Russia the bad guys. What, you gonna sell the fucking game in Russia? Fuck off, man. It's just, why are you avoiding this political shit? Like, this is why AAA single player games will never be good ever again. Because we're in this state where companies are so afraid of political backlash for whatever fucking reason, of making enemies like somewhat legit make sense type of enemies. Imagine, just like I said, United States against European nations. That would be so. You have your American equipment here, and you have European equipment here. And then maybe down the line you can introduce Russia or China. They finally got the shit together, and like you have 4 nations beefing with each other, right? Imagine, like, you come up with some story reason why both sides want to fight each other, and it doesn't have to be good guys versus bad guy. It's a great story. Both sides have their own agendas, and maybe a single player can take place between 2 sides, like you play as the United States and you play as USA, European Union, and none of them have bad morals. They have good morals, but it's just the ends to justifying the need, wherever that is going. It's like you want to explain why they're fighting, right? Like, it's like no one's bad guy. They both have their own agendas, right? And at the end of the single player, maybe you can maybe both sides can figure out, like, wait, we both of us got played. Wait a minute, we got played by Russia or China, whatever. So we need to team up again to fuck them over instead, because they're the ones started this war against us. They started this within, right? Like, so propaganda, whatever. Like, you can come up with some good reasons why the war started, right? And you still can have your cosmetics and everything in multiplayer, and have both sides that are entertaining to play as. You have your United States, and then you have your European nations, and maybe United States can be like, oh, look, like something, right? You can come up with something, and they clearly had the budget to come up with something, but they came up with this, and because they came up with this tells me that they had no vision. Someone was telling them in the back of the ear, like, but it's probably as executive, no, you have to be this way and this way and that way, and he didn't let the writers or the creative people to come up with some good explanation why this war is happening in the first place. Pax Armata could have been a good faction, that would have reasonable goals and agendas, whatever, and you would like, you know what, I kind of understand that, why they're fighting the United States or NATO, and there's like, and I understand why the United States are fighting, like, you could come up with, but someone was telling them in the background, like, someone's like, you need to have this character, you need to have this stuff, you need to do this and this and that, and like, there was some clear decisions were made on purpose, and no one let the creative people to come up with the good excuse why this happens in the first place. No, you have, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, and that, like, there's no explanation, nothing, and so on. And yeah, it's just, yes. If you're still listening to this right now, if you're still listening to me rambling about the single player, it's not good. Waste of time. Don't play it. Sure, you can play for some achievements, or not achievements, rewards. Like, I did some camos, some characters, and so on. I did the camo. Finish a mission without firing a weapon. You can only use melee weapons or gadgets. I did the tank mission without firing my gun, and I got the camo instantly uninstalled after that. Just like, okay, whatever, because the camo looks fine. Like, the camo looks cool, so I'm like, I'll get the camo. Other than that, waste of time, nothing explained. It's just, I'm angry. Playing this made me angry, because I'm like, I see the potential what could be, like, European nations against United States or NATO, whatever. Yeah, that can be really, really, really cool. Cool premise. Execute really badly. Really badly. It's like, at this point, can you please remove Pax Armata from the nations list, or like, from the faction list, and just replace it with European nations or whatever, and just call them something else? Don't give me a reason why they're fighting. I don't give a damn anymore. I don't give a damn. The fucking, because it's also taking place in the same universe. It's like the Star Wars universe, right? Oh, you can have something really good that takes place after Episode 6. After Luke, killed the Emperor and redeem his father. You can come up with some cool stories after that period, right? Like, after that, like, can come up with some stories about the New Republic, all that kind of stuff. The Mandalorian. Like, you can come up with some cool stories, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it leads to the same fucking point. The Force fucking awakens, and the whole sequel trilogy. So same thing. It doesn't matter what you do with Battlefield 6, all that kind of stuff. It leads to the same fucking point. 2042. it leads to the same bloody point, the same story beats of 2042. And 2042 story or lore, whatever, I tried to read it. It's stupid, sci-fi nonsense, garbage, and just they completely lost the plot. Completely lost the plot. It's like, you know, I'm not gonna compare it because people are gonna get mad. But yeah, it's a waste of time. It's bad. Don't play this. I don't want you to waste your time on this nonsense. It's just, it's there for the sake of having a $70 game, justify the $70 price tag. We have a single player. And then it tells me, you can uninstall the game after you finished it. Like, thanks game. I had no idea. Well, I'm glad they have that feature. I'm glad. But, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm so mad. Like, nothing was explained. Nothing was established. It's just there. Waste of time. I hate the characters. Only Lopez was the decent character from the game. Everything else, waste of time. Oh, forgot to tell you. As I end this episode on this rambling, all the things you saw in the single in the reveal trailer for Battlefield 6, the reveal trailer, the first trailer they dropped from Battlefield 6, when I said the reveal trailer has loads of characters, they have emotion, right? Like, they're angry, they're pissed, they're happy, all that kind of stuff. There's some emotion there, right? Like, damn, okay. None of it is in the single player. None of it features in the single player. Okay, there was one line that featured in the single player, like it said, move decisive, move fast, whatever, right? It's a scene of Carter saying that on the microphone, on the mic and everything. Like, okay, cool, but that same line got featured in the Gibraltar mission. I think it was like the third mission, something like that. Like, but it was not a cinematic. It was just in-game line as you're about to attack some Pax Armada guys. It was in game, so it wasn't a cinematic. Sure, that one line, but helicopters crashing, or I think Pax Armada guy losing his shit, smacking his hand on the table, or I don't know if it's Pax Armada, but well, like, just getting angry, like Carter getting angry, like, at something, and like this, the president talking and everything, like, you know, shaking, like, sure, you can come up with. It kind of makes sense, I guess, in the story, because they show him on TV doing the same fucking speech and all that kind of stuff. He's doing the same moving with his hand, all that kind of stuff. Or they never, but none of it was in the single player. So there's loads of clearly cut content from the single player, and I hope they're not gonna reuse that as content, whatever, like, or you know, to justify the story or whatever the case may be, right? Like, I hope they're not gonna do it, because I don't want it anymore. I don't want it. It's just I'm done. When it comes to Battlefield lore and story and everything, I'm done. I'm so sick of it, because none of you can come together and make something good, something established. Like, it doesn't have to be good. Make it sense. That's all I'm asking for, right? Make this lore make sense. And all this lore doesn't make any fucking sense. That's why I really want the reboot for I was hoping that this game is a fucking reboot, because, like, can we start fresh? But thank fuck they didn't. Thank fuck this game was not a reboot, because this single player just basically just shits on everything. Like, oh, fuck me. Oh, yeah, I'm so mad. I'm so fucking mad. Yeah. Okay, long story short, as I said 10 minutes ago, don't waste time playing the single player. It's bad. It's fine. It's done. It's done. I'm so done with the single player and the lore and everything. Unless the next Battlefield game is not unless the next Battlefield game is a reboot, I don't give a fuck about any single player or lore or whatever. Waste of fucking time, because you already ruined it with 2042 and you double ruined it with Battlefield 6. None of it makes sense. It was literally, it feels like it got written by some children, or clearly wrote by some American that has the creative directors. You know what? I don't know what they were thinking with the single player. It makes no fucking sense. I just want to kill myself, like, thinking about how any of this makes sense. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Story-wise, it doesn't. Gameplay-wise, don't care. It's just whatever. It's just click, go here, shoot that, go there, shoot that, and move on. That's the thing. But I want explanations and story and everything. None of it is explained. None of it is provided. It's just waste of time. Anyway, that's why I'm gonna end the podcast. That's how I'm gonna end the episode here. This pre-recorded episode of me ranting about the single player. Thank you guys for listening. If you're still listening to my ramblings about the single player, thank you. Thank you so much. Next episode, we'll go back to regular schedule. I hope on the next episode. I'm still in the recording of other stuff, right? So it's still in the process before I go on holiday. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for listening to my ramblings, my whatever this was. And I hope I'm gonna see you guys on the next one, and so on. And we'll talk Battlefield more properly, without any ranting or whatever, because Battlefield 6 is fun. The game is fun, and they're doing some positive changes to the game as we speak. I just read that they're gonna do the XP changes and the challenge changes and everything to make it less grindy and so on. That's great. So yeah, Battlefield 6 is fun, and I'm having a loads of fun. But when it comes to single player and the lore and everything, fuck me, I want to kill myself. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Hopefully I will have my co-host back and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for everything. We'll see you on the battlefield.
It's time to tell you all about our amazing Patreon that is helping us keep the show going. Patreon.com/TheLankySoldier.
But yeah, episode 47. You paid for this.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. I don't care.
In my defense, I didn't know it was broken or it was going to break upon squeezing it gently. Battlefield 1 podcast was rebooted in March of 2023. We learned a lot of lessons from our previous shows that consisted of 41 episodes, and we've been building amazing foundations for the future with this current show. There's a reason why we're the best Battlefield-related podcast available on Spotify and anywhere else. We've also had the honor of being listened to by DICE, Ripple Effect, and other developers as well. Now, we want to share even more with you through our Patreon.
And I've never seen her. So I will be like crying and yelling, and I will not be the same person I am right now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that kind of emotion. I know we're emotionally close and everything, but I don't think we're that emotionally close.
Yeah, that will be an experience of its own.
We want to thank everyone that has joined as a free member or subscribed to our Patreon in the last year. The support is greatly appreciated, always was, and always will be. It's amazing, and it only motivates us to continue with our Battlefield journey. By simply becoming a free member or even subscribing to any paid tier, you're not only supporting the show, but you're also getting a lot of content back in return.
Right, because Call of Duty gets so annoying sometimes, I actually got so desperate I installed League of Legends again.
Oh my god. The perks of any tier is you'll get ad-free early access to all of our future episodes. You can already listen to the previous episodes ads-free as well, simply by being a free member. There's no more waiting, no more interruptions, just pure unfiltered Battlefield content straight to your ear holes, from our mouth holes, and anywhere else. You know, it's amazing, isn't it?
The only reason why CTE did as well as it did back in the day, guys, is because it wasn't locked down to secrecy. Those that couldn't participate were still able to see what was going on. That's the point that I'm getting at right now.
We're also giving you a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into making the Battlefield 1 podcast or any other content we produce, from planning sessions to recording mistakes and everything in between. You'll get an insider's perspective on how we bring each episode to life pretty much from start to finish.
And the reason why I'm saying
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It's all my fault.
It's all your fault, Ray. You ruined the whole show. We need to cancel it again.
Just gotta can it for another 8 months again. Just appear out of nowhere with
we need to cancel it again. Ray, what the fuck did you do?
And that's only Battlefield. We're also offering access to our exclusive Patreon podcast series, The Live Gaming Gathering. This is a show where friends and special guests get together and talk about everything from the video game industry to movies and whatever else is on our minds at that particular time. With more than 40 episodes already available, there's hours upon hours of content for you to listen to.
All right, I think we need to move on because we've been kind of on this subject for about the last 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
We got a couple of things in order.
Are you feeling better now? Let this
Yes,
team off.
Yeah, you got that
I
off
do
your chest.
I do feel better. Oh no, wait, one more thing. For example, Angela. We were in
I'm not
discussion.
going to mention any names.
Trust me, these are some of the most fun and amazing conversations we have ever had on the show. Because it's just us being us, relaxed and actually having fun. Almost like you're sitting alongside us with the conversation. Yeah.
So the reaction from the Fortnite community is like, okay, every time we see a Cybertruck in the server, it's our mission to drop everything we're doing and send that player back to the lobby.
We also believe in keeping our patrons informed, so we post monthly recaps to let you know what you probably missed during last month's episode, and we're making sure that you're not missing anything important. Just recently, we opened a brand new Discord server where people can talk to each other and get all of the latest updates about our content or the Lanky Soldier channel. Find the link in the description to this episode or at our Patreon. No subscription needed.
You are as a player.
been measured. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been measured.
Because we're confident that you'll love the content we're creating, we're offering a free trial that you can use at any time. We believe we're making good content that will make you stay, and we would not be offering free trials if we didn't think so.
I've seen a lot of people like literally get excited, like, you know what? This looks very familiar, clearly ripped from somewhere, but damn it, that looks good.
So, if you want to support the show and get all of these amazing extras, head on over to patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep delivering the content that you enjoy. Thank you for being part of the Battlefield community, and thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you on our Patreon.